paling teringin?
Nak jumpa hos.
Rio rendah. Value View Malaysia musim baru. Isnin hingga Rabu 7 malam di Astro dan Astro Go.
Salam sejahtera, anda sedang menyaksikan Niaga AWANI bersama saya Nina Rozman. Seperti biasa jam ini kami akan bawakan pelbagai rangkuman berita niaga ekonomi termasuk juga dengan pasaran dari tempatan hingga ke antarabangsa selama 1 jam 30 minit bersama ahli pada jemputan untuk anda fahami bagaimanakah lanskap ekonomi semasa, dan saya akan mulakan dengan laporan ini terlebih dahulu. Keuntungan selepas cukai dan kepentingan minoriti Patami KPJ Healthcare Berhad bagi suku pertama berakhir 31 Mac 2024 meningkat sebanyak 38% kepada 76 juta ringgit berbanding 55 juta ringgit pada suku yang sama tahun sebelumnya. Kumpulan itu berkata hasil bagi suku berkenaan meningkat kepada 908 juta ringgit berbanding 815 juta ringgit pada tahun lalu disokong peningkatan kehadiran pesakit dalaman kepada 91,039 orang daripada 88,036 orang.
KPJ Healthcare juga meningkatkan kapasiti katilnya dalam tempoh semasa kepada 3,693 katil berbanding 3,416 katil pada suku yang sama tahun sebelumnya. Dalam makluman kepada Bursa Malaysia, KPJ berkata hasil kumpulan itu didorong oleh prestasi positif daripada perniagaan Malaysia. Ia termasuk KPJ Damansara 2 menunjukkan peningkatan ketara dalam pendapatan sebelum faedah, cukai, susut nilai dan pelunasan EBITDA daripada negatif hampir 10 juta ringgit kepada 600 ribu ringgit pada suku pertama 2024 diikuti pengurangan kerugian sebelum cukai sebanyak 8.2 juta ringgit. Prestasi kumpulan juga bertambah baik disebabkan oleh pemansuhan sementara liability bersih sebanyak 43.3 juta ringgit daripada pelupusan perniagaan penjagaan warga emas di Australia. KPJ Healthcare berkata selain hasil di DSH2, KPJ Klang, KPJ Ambank Puteri dan KPJ Selangor menyumbang peningkatan agregat dalam hasil sebanyak 17.8 juta ringgit. Secara kolektif, kesemua hospital itu mencatatkan lonjakan dalam pembedahan sebanyak 13% kepada 4,509 kes dengan jumlah hari pesakit dalaman meningkat sebanyak 7% kepada 40,672 hari berbanding 38,153 hari pada suku sama tahun sebelumnya. KPJ Healthcare mengisytiharkan dividen interim yang kedua sebanyak 1.00 sen sesaham dengan jumlah keseluruhan sebanyak 43.6 juta ringgit yang akan diagihkan pada 5 Julai 2024. Presiden dan Pengarah Urusan KPJ Healthcare Chin Kian Chuan berkata pihaknya menjangkakan tahun 2024 yang stabil untuk kumpulan itu dipacu oleh komitmen pihaknya untuk menyediakan perkhidmatan berasaskan nilai Care for Life kepada pesakit.
Penyedia penyelesaian tenaga T7 Global Berhad mencatatkan untung bersih sebanyak 4.6 juta ringgit pada suku pertama tahun kewangan 2024, peningkatan 8.9% berbanding setahun sebelumnya. Pendapatan T7 Global dalam suku tahun berakhir 31 Mac 2024 mencatatkan peningkatan 41.0% berbanding suku sama tahun lepas kepada 132.6 juta ringgit.
Dalam pemakluman kepada Bursa Malaysia, pertambahan pendapatan disumbangkan oleh kedua-dua segmen iaitu tenaga dan industri. Menurut kumpulan itu, pendapatan daripada segmen tenaga meningkat 48% tahun ke tahun. Ia kekal sebagai penyumbang utama pendapatan, melibatkan 77% daripada pendapatan suku pertama kumpulan. Pertumbuhan segmen itu didorong oleh aktiviti minyak dan gas yang lebih tinggi serta sumbangan sepenuhnya selama suku dari unit pengeluaran luar pesisir mudah alih T7 Elise atau MOPU. Menurut T7 Global, selain itu segmen solusi industri menunjukkan peningkatan pendapatan sebanyak 20% berbanding dengan suku sama tahun lepas. Pertumbuhan segmen itu didorong oleh aktiviti minyak dan gas yang lebih tinggi serta sumbangan sepenuhnya dari MOPU T7 Elise selama suku penuh. Sementara itu, dalam kenyataan media, Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif Kumpulan T7 Global Tan K. Zwin berkata, kumpulan mengekalkan prospek yang positif untuk tahun datang, terutamanya dalam segmen tenaga, kerana dijangkakan harga minyak yang stabil akan meningkatkan aktiviti minyak dan gas.
Untung bersih AMMB Holdings Berhad bagi tahun kewangan berakhir 31 Mac 2024 meningkat 9.4% kepada 1.87 bilion ringgit didorong oleh pertumbuhan kukuh dalam pendapatan bukan faedah NOII. Kumpulan itu berkata hasil bagaimanapun susut pada 4.65 bilion ringgit berbanding 4.71 ringgit pada tahun kewangan sebelumnya.
Katanya untung bersih bagi suku keempat tahun kewangan sama meningkat 11% kepada 476.54 juta ringgit, disokong hasil 1.17 bilion ringgit dipacu oleh pendapatan NOII yang lebih tinggi. AMMB mengisytiharkan dividen sebanyak 16.6 sen sesaham dan akan dibayar pada 11 Julai 2024. Bank itu berkata margin faedah bersih NIM menyusut sebanyak 6.7% kepada 3.3 bilion ringgit, tetapi diimbangi NOII yang mencatatkan perkembangan 14.7% kepada 1.34 bilion ringgit. Bagi tahun kewangan sama, jumlah pinjaman kasar dan pembiayaan meningkat 3% tahun ke tahun kepada 134.1 bilion ringgit, terutamanya disebabkan oleh perbankan perniagaan dan runcit. Jumlah deposit pelanggan meningkat 9.3% tahun ke tahun kepada 142.4 bilion ringgit.
Jumlah pesanan yang tinggi daripada hospital kerajaan antara penyumbang utama kepada peningkatan pendapatan Pharmaniaga pada suku pertama berakhir 31 Mac 2024. Syarikat berstatus BS17 itu merekodkan pendapatan 965.0 juta ringgit pada suku pertama, meningkat sebanyak 9.6% berbanding suku sama setahun sebelumnya.
Pada suku sama, Pharmaniaga mencatatkan untung bersih 25.64 juta ringgit, peningkatan berbanding suku pertama tahun sebelumnya yang berjumlah 2.62 juta ringgit. Menurut Pharmaniaga, bahagian logistik dan pengedaran mencatatkan untung sebelum cukai PBT yang lebih tinggi sebanyak 28 juta ringgit untuk tempoh yang dikaji berbanding 8.8 juta ringgit pada suku sama tahun sebelumnya. Pertumbuhan pendapatan bagi segmen konsesi itu terutamanya disebabkan oleh peningkatan dalam jualan pesanan daripada hospital kerajaan, penambahan produk baru kepada senarai harga produk yang diluluskan dan penyesuaian harga di bawah kitaran konsesi baru yang disebabkan oleh kos pembekal yang meningkat. Selain itu, langkah-langkah mengoptimumkan kos termasuk penghentian perniagaan bukan utama dan tidak memberikan prestasi serta perbelanjaan pengiklanan dan promosi yang lebih rendah menyumbang kepada peningkatan keuntungan bahagian tersebut. MGB Berhad menerusi MGB Construction and Engineering Sdn Berhad menerima kontrak bernilai 189.35 juta ringgit daripada Kemudi Ehsan Sdn Berhad bagi pembangunan perbandaran baharu di Ijo, Kuala Selangor. Kumpulan dalam satu makluman Perusahaan Malaysia berkata pembangunan itu akan dilaksanakan dalam 5 fasa dan dijangka siap sepenuhnya dalam tempoh 18 bulan. Powerwell Holding Berhad menerusi Powerwell International Sdn Berhad menerima 2 pesanan pembelian bernilai 57.6 juta ringgit daripada sebuah syarikat teknologi multinasional bagi membekal, memasang dan mentauliah papan Swiss voltan rendah serta panel kuasa bagi pusat data yang terletak di Selangor. Kumpulan itu dalam satu makluman Perusahaan Malaysia berkata kontrak dijangka dipenuhi dalam tempoh setahun dari tarikh 24 Mei 2024. Usaha sama SEMDAPI Property Berhad dan Logos Southeast Asia Private Limited, Logos Property, SDP Lock telah berjaya meraih dana pembangunan pendastrian bernilai 1 bilion ringgit. SEMDAPI Property berkata, modal dana itu diperoleh daripada pemain institusi tempatan, dana equity persendirian dan dana insurans menunjukkan keyakinan dalam pelbagai pelabur untuk jenis pelaburan itu. Laporan penuh di saluran 501 dan astroawani.com serta dagangnews.com.
Syarikat Mara Corporation menempa satu lagi kejayaan dalam meneroka bidang perniagaan baharu, khususnya tenaga boleh diperbaharui dan pembuatan bas elektrik. Mara Corporation melalui Mara Liner akan bekerjasama dengan syarikat bas utama Malaysia iaitu SKS Coach Builders dalam kerjasama yang melibatkan Zhejiang CRRC.
Majlis Pemeteraian Memorandum Persefahaman Memorandum Perjanjian serta surat niat berkaitan bas elektrik disaksikan Timbalan Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Ahmad Zainal Hamidi di Shanghai, China pada Isnin. Pemeteraian itu dibuat antara SKS Coach Builders, Sdn Bhd SKS dan CRRC Corporation, Mara Liner dan SKS serta Mara Corp dan China Electrical Equipment Group.
Yang penting di sini kita lihat bahawa Mara melalui anak-anak syarikatnya terlibat secara langsung bukan saja untuk memperolehi suatu teknologi baharu dan juga pembinaan teknologi dan pengetahuan kepada Mara, tetapi juga kepada Uni KL, Universiti Kuala Lumpur dan institusi TVET di bawah Mara. Dan yang lebih penting lagi ialah kita akan dapat memperolehi teknologi baru terutamanya dalam pengangkutan awam.
Melalui kerjasama itu, Mara Liner berhasrat menjadi peneraju dalam pembekalan bas EV termasuk jualan langsung dan pajakan untuk kegunaan awam dan kerajaan. Dianggarkan melibatkan 800 bas dengan nilai sekitar RM960 juta. Selain itu, Mara Corporation juga sedang meneroka perniagaan tenaga baru di Malaysia termasuk penjanaan kuasa tenaga baru, pembangunan dan pelaburan projek sistem penyimpanan tenaga suria dan bateri BESS. Penteraian perjanjian perniagaan tenaga baru dilakukan bersama China Electrical Equipment Group CEEG yang merupakan peneraju dunia di dalam pengujian kapasiti elektrik di samping membiayai projek pembekalan dan penyimpanan tenaga boleh diperbaharui.
Dalam pada itu, Datuk Seri Zamri melihat penganjuran program Invested di bawah Suruhanjaya Security SC merupakan pendedahan terbaik untuk generasi muda mempelajari ekosistem berkaitan dunia pasaran saham. Beliau berkata SC di bawah pimpinan pengerusi eksekutifnya, Datuk Dr. Awang Adik Husin telah mengambil pendekatan kreatif dan mampu menarik minat orang muda untuk memahami dunia pelaburan.
Melaksanakan satu program yang penting untuk kita menambah baik dari segi graduan-graduan kita, iaitu yang dipanggil sebagai invested, iaitu mereka ini diberikan pendedahan dalam bidang kepimpinan dan juga pendedahan dalam bidang capital market di sini. Dan kita mengharapkan apabila mereka keluar nanti dengan program yang mereka lalui, mereka akan berjaya dalam bidang-bidang mereka dan peluang pekerjaan kepada mereka lebih terbuka dan mudah untuk mereka memperolehinya. Ini merupakan satu pendekatan kreatif yang dibuat oleh SC ini, yang saya mengharapkan ianya dapat dicontohi oleh kalangan agensi-agensi yang lain bagi kita membuka ruang kepada graduan-graduan kita yang keluar daripada universiti yang memerlukan dari segi peningkatan kualiti mereka bagi membolehkan mereka mendapat pekerjaan di pasaran yang lebih terbuka.
Pandangan itu turut disambut pengarah urusan merangkap Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif SJ Security Sdn Bhd, Dato' Ahmad Azman Abdul Manaf.
In a typical stockbroking company, there's so many varied professions required. So it's not just people who buy and sell and trade shares and stocks. You see, that's where I would like to impress upon the young that come into the capital market and you will see that the horizon is very wide for you. And there's a lot of opportunity for you, to expand your skills and, acquire the experience for your future professional careers.
Bagi peserta program Hani Sofia Muhammad Syariah Effendi, program tersebut nyata membuka matanya terhadap ekosistem dunia pelaburan.
Not only we learn about capital market, we also learn about how to carve your communication skills, how to engage with people. Because throughout this program, we literally are divided into few groups, and we need to communicate and engage with each group every single day. And in this program also, we got the chance to learn things about sustainability, also like the impact towards the future generation, and also we got to learn about corporate governance.
Baik, Niaga Awani akan bawakan perkembangan nilai ringgit Malaysia termasuk Bursa Malaysia selepas ini.
Di dalam setiap berita yang dibawa, konteks amat penting. Cara kita mendapat berita kian berubah. Melalui media sosial maupun saluran digital yang lain serta kaca TV. Kami sentiasa membawakan yang tergempar dan terkini.
Kita buat sesuatu yang berbeza.
Teraskan acuan verifikasi yang diamalkan supaya setiap fakta adalah sahih. Daripada analisis pelbagai sudut yang mendalam, laporan-laporan khas dan perbincangan yang membina negara. Inklusif, suara rakyat kami ajukan. Keseimbangan persepsi kami pastikan. Kerana setiap cerita mempunyai impak yang tersendiri dan perlu dibawa dengan penelitian yang terperinci. Pastikan Astro AWANI menjadi pilihan anda tidak kira di mana sahaja anda berada. Saluran berita paling dipercayai di Malaysia.
This is Family Feud! Apakah caranya perempuan?
Anda pasti.
Kuat shopping. Swipe.
Pelbagai ragam.
Anda paling teringin
nak jumpa host.
Rio rendah. Family Feud Malaysia musim baru. Isnin hingga Rabu 7 malam di Astro dan Astro Go.
Seterusnya, peminjam Perbadanan Tabung Pendidikan Tinggi Nasional atau PTPTN digesa merebut peluang insentif diskaun bayaran balik pinjaman.
Fenomena Economics menjadikan bumi dan matahari berada pada jarak paling dekat dalam sistem solar.
Malaysia berjaya membanteras jenayah berkaitan dadah bernilai 990 juta ringgit sejak 2019.
Jangan meletakkan harapan tinggi berhubung soal mencari jawapan pesawat Malaysia Airlines MH370 yang hilang 10 tahun lepas.
Bursa Malaysia Securities berhad mengenakan denda RM500,000 dan teguran awam ke atas bekas pengarah eksekutif Advanced Information Marketing Berhad, Chian Ming Hee, kerana melanggar keperluan pengaraian pasaran ACE Bursa Malaysia Securities. Ini adalah hasil daripada penjualan semula 24,90,500 unit saham perbendaharaan EIM pada 5 Oktober 2021, jualan semula pada harga diskaun lebih daripada 5% kepada harga pasaran purata wajaran bagi saham syarikat untuk 5 hari pasaran sejurus sebelum jualan semula 0.2712 sen. CIMB Bank Berhad bekerjasama dengan Juice Up, anak syarikat Paid Change yang berhad, dan Visa bagi memperkenalkan rumusan pembayaran tanpa sentuh pertama dalam pasaran yang direka untuk mengendalikan titik charge CPO dalam industri kenderaan elektrik EV. Kerjasama itu membolehkan rumusan pembayaran tanpa sentuh, menyediakan cara yang efektif kepada pemilik EV mengecas kenderaan mereka menggunakan kad debit dan kredit. UEM Sunrise Berhad menyerahkan permohonan pembangunan DA bagi pembinaan kediaman pertamanya, iaitu 2 bangunan pangsapuri di Subiaco East Perth, Australia Barat untuk lot 1 dan 2 di The Oval, Subiaco East. Syarikat sedang mendapatkan kelulusan untuk 2 bangunan kediaman bercampur di tapak seluas 4,930 meter persegi yang terletak tepat di luar garisan sempadan Subiaco Oval yang ikonik bersama Hayat. Laporan penuh di saluran 501 dan astroawani.com serta dagangnews.com.
Baik, untuk kita teruskan dengan perkembangan nilai ringgit Malaysia dahulu, di mana prestasi semalam, ringgit mengakhiri urus niaga pada Isnin dengan kembali mengukuh berbanding dolar Amerika Syarikat selepas mata wang itu lemah menjelang pengumuman data inflasi negara maju berkenaan pada minggu ini. Data ekonomi itu akan memberi petunjuk mengenai unjuran berkaitan kadar faedah global, kata seorang penganalisis. Dan pada 6 petang ini, pada 6 petang semalam, ringgit meningkat kepada 4.6940 atau 6990 berbanding dolar Amerika Syarikat daripada paras penutup 4.7100 atau 7130 pada Jumaat lepas. Dan untuk kita lihat bagaimanakah nilai ringgit Malaysia setakat 28 Mei 2024 pada waktu pembukaan hari Selasa, ia berada pada paras 4.6925 ringgit. Dan ini adalah prestasi nilai ringgit Malaysia yang dapat kita saksikan pada pembukaan pagi hari Selasa. Ia berada pada paras ini 4.6925 dan untuk kita lihat bagaimanakah prestasi nilai ringgit Malaysia dalam tempoh seminggu, iaitu 7 hari lebih kurang daripada iaitu 21 Mei 2024 sehinggalah 28 Mei pagi ini. Untuk kita lihat, ini adalah prestasi ataupun pergerakan nilai ringgit Malaysia yang menyifatkan bagaimanakah iaitu kita lihat pertumbuhan ataupun naik turun nilai ringgit Malaysia dalam tempoh seminggu. Dan dalam tempoh seminggu ni untuk kita lihat pada awal minggu iaitu nilai ringgit Malaysia mengalami trend penyusutan apabila graf ini meningkat, nilai ringgit semakin lemah. Namun kita dapat saksikan di pertengahan minggu nilai ringgit Malaysia mula mengalami pengukuhan apabila graf ini semakin menurun. Dan dalam tempoh 7 hari ini nilai ringgit Malaysia dapat kita saksikan dalam tempoh yang paling lemah, ia berada pada paras 4.7204 ringgit berbanding dolar Amerika Syarikat yang telah dicatatkan dalam tempoh seminggu. Dan dalam nilai ataupun paras yang tertinggi value untuk nilai ringgit Malaysia, ia berada pada paras 4.6902 dan ini juga adalah antara paras terendah dan paras tertinggi dan juga julat untuk kita lihat pergerakan nilai ringgit Malaysia dalam tempoh seminggu. Dan untuk kita ke belakang sedikit, bagaimanakah nilai ringgit Malaysia dalam tempoh sebulan, iaitu lebih kurang daripada 27 April sehinggalah 28 Mei. Untuk kita lihat nilai ringgit Malaysia sebenarnya telah mengalami trend, kita boleh cakap trend pengukuhan. Apabila graf ini semakin menurun, nilai ringgit Malaysia semakin mengukuh dan semakin menguat. Dan dalam tempoh sebulan untuk kita saksikan nilai ringgit Malaysia berada dalam tempoh yang terbaik, ia berada lebih kurang pada 4.6833 ringgit. Manakala antara nilai yang terlemah yang dapat kita saksikan dalam tempoh sebulan ini, ia berada pada paras 4.7769 dan ini juga adalah lingkungan ataupun range pergerakan nilai ringgit yang dapat kita saksikan dalam tempoh sebulan daripada 27 ataupun 28 April sehinggalah 28 Mei setakat pagi ini. Dan saya akan beralih pula kepada prestasi FBM KLCI di mana untuk kita lihat prestasi pada waktu semalam, Bursa Malaysia melepaskan keuntungan sebelum ditutup rendah walaupun terdapat peningkatan dalam pasaran serantau selepas pelabur-pelabur tempatan terus mengambil keuntungan, kata seorang penganalisis. Dan pada 5 petang, FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI susut 1.13 mata atau 0.07% kepada 1618.27 berbanding 1619.40 yang dicatatkan semasa ditutup pada Jumaat lepas. Dan prestasi Bursa Malaysia dapat kita saksikan lebih terperinci iaitu lebih kurang jam 9.09 pagi. Ia berada pada paras 1622.48 dan ini adalah prestasi Bursa Malaysia dapat kita saksikan pada awal pagi ini. Peningkatan sebanyak 4.35 ataupun 0.27%. Dan ini adalah prestasi terkini yang dapat kita saksikan mengenai FBM KLCI kita setakat pembukaan pagi pada 28 Mei 2024. Dan untuk kita kembali melihat bagaimanakah prestasi FBM KLCI kita dalam tempoh 5 hari daripada Selasa sehinggalah Selasa minggu lepas sehinggalah Selasa minggu ini, FBM KLCI kita mengalami trend yang naik turun yang bercampur-campur. Dan dalam tempoh 5 hari ini daripada Selasa minggu lepas sehinggalah Selasa minggu ini, kita dapat saksikan antara paras yang terendah yang telah direkodkan dalam tempoh 5 hari. Bursa Malaysia telah merekodkan pada paras terendah pada paras 1621.34 dan antara paras yang tertinggi yang dapat kita saksikan adalah 1631.85 dan ini adalah lingkungan pergerakan ataupun trend Bursa Malaysia yang dapat kita saksikan dalam tempoh 5 hari daripada Selasa minggu lepas hinggalah Selasa pagi ini. Dan kalau kita ke belakang sikit dalam tempoh sebulan, FBM KLCI kita berada dalam tempoh ataupun trend peningkatan apabila anda dapat saksikan lebih kurang April 28 April nilai Bursa Malaysia FBM KLCI kita telah meningkat daripada paras yang terendah pada prestasi bulanan 1575.97 dan ia terus mengalami peningkatan sehinggalah ia mencapai antara tahap yang tertinggi pada 1629.18 dan ini adalah prestasi FBMKSCI dan juga nilai ringgit Malaysia yang dapat kita saksikan setakat pagi ini seminggu dan tempoh lebih jauh iaitu sebulan. Mari kita saksikan laporan ringkas dagang.
DC Healthcare mencatatkan kerugian bersih sebanyak 7.9 juta ringgit pada suku pertama berakhir 31 Mac 2024 berbanding untung bersih 2.4 juta pada suku sama tahun sebelumnya. Kesan permintaannya lebih rendah dalam perkhidmatan estetik. Kumpulan itu dalam makluman kepada Bursa Malaysia berkata hasil bagi suku berkenaan juga susut kepada 9.5 juta ringgit berbanding 16.8 juta ringgit pada tahun sebelumnya. EPB Group Berhad EPB menerima kelulusan daripada Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad untuk disenaraikan di pasaran ACE Bursa Securities. Tawaran awam permulaan IPO syarikat penyedia penyelesaian mesin pemprosesan dan pembungkusan sehenti itu akan melibatkan terbitan awam sebanyak 111.57 juta saham biasa baharu dalam EPB. Lexus Malaysia, sebahagian daripada UMW Toyota Motors yang Berhad kini menerima tempahan untuk Lexus LM yang ditawarkan dalam dua varian, LM 500H untuk 4 orang dan LM 350H untuk 7 orang, masing-masing berharga bermula 1.22 juta ringgit hingga 1.46 juta ringgit sebuah. Pada 2019, Lexus memperkenalkan LM sebagai model MPV pertama yang selaras dengan imej jenamanya, merupakan model mewah premium. Laporan penuh di saluran 01 dan astroawani.com serta dagangnews.com.
In the Arab world, specifically in Oman, we have a lot of waste generated from dates because we're huge consumers of dates. And at the time, the date seeds were used for coffee, as coffee beans, and we thought, can we actually utilize the oil content in the seeds to convert that into biodiesel, because it has about 9 to 15% of oil in the seeds, and that's what sparked the idea in the very beginning. And that was back in 2015. was a personal achievement because I wanted to drive home the point that research can go from the lab to the road. And it's a very strong message to send to our youth, to our students, to our society, that research should be focused on real problems in our countries and in the world. If everybody focused their R&D on a real challenge in our country, then we will be part of driving the economy, finding solutions. So this is going to create jobs for the farmers, because instead of them throwing the seeds in the farming industry, now they're going to actually be part of the solution for the collection. One of the biggest challenges was the mindset. We were not thinking of alternative energies. We were heavily dependent on fossil fuels. The funds at the very beginning was very difficult to be granted because people were just investing in things that were trendy at the time. Now that the topic of renewable energy is a hotspot, we're getting a lot more funds than earlier, which we're very happy with. So it starts with the end consumer understanding the value and importance of renewable energy, specifically biofuels. And from the organizational side or the government side, we need legislations, we need tax exemptions. Just like any other kind of renewable energy, we need some sort of mandates that will help push the scientific efforts in this field.
If you look at any of the major sort of developments, whether it's the wheel or the plough or the printing press or the steam engine or the internet, none of those have resulted in a massive drop-off of employment. So I don't think that AI is going to be the exception. The labour shortage question is key because as demographics show a shrinking working population in developed economies, I think this is going to be a way that we can drive growth notwithstanding that. The amount of thinking time that's going into this is huge. The amount of budget dollars being applied to it are relatively small. Why is that? Well, it's because people understand that generative AI is going to disrupt every company in every industry and every geography. They just don't know quite what it'll mean for them. What they can't see yet is how AI can drive revenue growth generally. And that's why people are holding back in terms of deciding how to apply their investment dollars. What we're finding from our client work is that the winners in AI are the people who have the best data, not the people that have access to the best large language models. I think as people understand how to deploy their data for commercial advantage and then work out what the consequent impact is on energy consumption and how they set it up for success is going to be at the core of those discussions.
All right, from Ringgit FBM KSI, definitely we want to take a look at the US market. Now let's take a look at dive deep into the S&P 500 market as of today's performance. Firstly, we can see roughly, if we zoom out and look a little bit a wider range, we can see all of the sector within the S&P 500, which is categorized by sector in industry, are facing the green waves, as you can see with the technology sector, semiconductors, and even the communication service right now is going up by positive percentage. And I'm going to start with Microsoft first with the latest news that opens new tab. President Brad Smith said the tech company's high-profile deal with the United Arab Emirates backed AI firm G42 would eventually involve the transfer of sophisticated chips and tools, a move that the senior Republican congressman warned could have national security implication. In an interview with Reuters, Smith said the sales, caught many details of which are being reported here for the first time, could progress to a second phase that entails the export of crucial components of AI technology, such as model weights, a crown jewel of AI system that determine how powerful they are. Smith said there is no firm timeline for the second phase. US officials have said that AI systems could pose national security risks, for example, by making it easier to engineer chemicals, biological, and nuclear weapons, opens a new tab. The Biden administration in October required the makers of the largest AI system to share details about them with the US government. To move forward, the deal would require the approval of the US Department of Commerce. Microsoft executives said the agreement has safeguards to protect Microsoft's technology and prevent it from being used by Chinese entities to train AI system. And before we go with the semiconductor updates, we'll see at Microsoft as of this morning is up by 0.74%, while a few of other industry or companies within the Oracle is doing the opposite performance of Microsoft, which is down as of this morning 0.95%, followed by Adobe is also down by 1.63%. And this is a little bit of, we can see the summarize of how the technology sector performance as of this morning. And we're going to move to the semiconductor. As you can see, NVIDIA with bright green waves is up by 2.57%, following by other sector, which also Broadcom Incorporation is up 1.04%. We also have others like Intel is up 2.13%. Is also we have mostly Advanced Micro Devices Incorporation is up quite high by 3.70%. Also Qualcomm is also very high up, almost we can see more than 4.26%. And this is one of we can see the performance for semiconductors, few industries and sectors. And for NVIDIA, recent updates opens new tab. Most advanced AI chip developed for the China market has got off to a weak start with abundant supply, forcing it to be priced below a rival chip from Chinese tech giant Huawei, according to sources familiar with the matter. The flattening prices underscore the challenges NVIDIA's China business faces amid US sanctions on AI chips export and heightened competition, casting a cloud over its future in a market that contributes 17% to its revenue for fiscal 2024. The growing competitive pressure in China also adds a cautionary note to investors in US semiconductor designer as its shares extended a stunning rally following Wednesday bumper revenue forecast. And this is the latest update for semiconductor as well. And we're going to move on next to the consumer electronics sector. As we can see for Apple, one of the biggest sector within the consumer electronics industry, we can see Apple as of this morning is up by 1.66%. And the latest news about Apple is Vietnamese officials have called on Apple supplier Foxconn opens new tab to voluntarily reduce power use by 30% at its assembly plants in the north of the country where there were electricity outages last year. Two people familiar with the matter said the request for energy-saving measures, which two other industry sources said was spent to multiple manufacturers, is precautionary and aimed at evening a repeat of last summer when power shortage led to over $1 billion in lost output. The request to Foxconn was an encouragement, not a requirement, as has not had any impact on production, one of the people said. Vietnam is increasingly welcoming multinational companies, some spreading their risk from traditional manufacturing-based China amid rising trade tension with the US last month. And Apple opens new tab promised further spending in the country, where over the past year it has raised its number of suppliers to 35 from 25. And next we have also Google. Before we're going to check the current performance of Google as of this morning, for the latest news about Alphabet's Google opens new tab will pick a minority stake worth $350 million in Walmart-backed Flipkart, valuing the Indian e-commerce firm at $37 billion. A source with direct knowledge of the matter told Reuters. Google and Flipkart were not immediately, we can say, available to confirm the value of the investment. The tech giant will join in as an investor in the latest funding round for the Bangalore-based company, Flipkart said in a statement. And we can see that Google, as of this morning, is up by 0.72% and Meta is positive 2.67% in the increase as of this morning. And for Meta, a recent updates has added safety features to its misinformation tracking tool, CrowdTangle, for use during European Parliament's election in an attempt to allay EU concerns that triggered an investigation last month into the impact of its decision to phase out the tool. And the US social media platform last week said candidates for next month's polls will be shown a notification at the top of their feed in Facebook and Instagram on how to protect themselves and their accounts. This includes directing them to resources that explain how, among others, to set up two-factor authentication, review security settings, or set up hidden words, which is an Instagram feature that automatically sends personal message requests containing offensive words, phrases, and emojis to a hidden folder. And that is the update for communication sector. So I have a few and mostly we're going to go a few updates on the Amazon. Amazon is also down by 0.17% as of this morning. We can see that we're going to share with you negative 0.17%. And also for the financial sector, for the credit service, we're going to go for a few within the stocks here. For one of banks that are doing with having increased performance as of this morning is the JP Morgan Chase & Co., which increased 1.93%. And we can see for other banks like Bank of America Corp is also 1.35%. And we can see also financial banks from Wells Fargo & Co. increased by 0.89%. But it's a little bit opposite performance for the credit services. For example, like the Visa Incorporation is also increased by a little bit. It's 0.10%. And we have also the MasterCard Incorporated also, as of this morning, reduced, or we can see decreased by 0.01%. And for the others under the credit services, we can see for American Express Co. is increased by 1.16%. And as for, we can see for Tesla updates, as of this morning, increased by 3.17%. It's a big increase, more than 3%, as we can see, other than on automotive for the General Motors companies is also increased by 0.87%, followed by the Tesla Incorporation 3.17%, and the Ford Motor Corporation is 0.41%. And from the auto manufacturing sector, we can see Tesla increase is one of the best performance as of this morning. And we're going to move on to the industry for entertainment and the oil and gas. For energy, oil and gas integrated here, we can see that ExxonMobil Corp is decreasing by 0.08% as of this morning, and followed by Chevron Corporation actually increased by 0.52%. And this is the latest update and the latest performance as of this morning. We can see under the energy sector, consumer cyclical sector within the internet retail, and we can see communication service and technology, and even a semiconductor industry. And for Tesla, if I can share with you the update about the recent Tesla update, is proxy advisory firm Glass Lewis said on Saturday it has urged Tesla opens new tab shareholders to reject a 56 billion ringgit pay package for Chief Executive Officer Elon Musk, which, if passed, would be the largest pay package for a CEO in corporate America. The report cited reason with the excessive size of the pay deal, the diluted effect upon exercise, and the concentration of ownership. It also mentioned Musk slate the extraordinary time-consuming project, which have expanded with his high-profile purchase of Twitter, now known as X. The pay package was proposed by Tesla Board of Directors, which has repeatedly come under fire for its close ties with the billionaire. And the package has no salary or cash bonus and set rewards based on Tesla's market value rising to as much as $650 billion over the 10 years from 2018. The company is currently valued at about $571.6 billion US, and this is according to LSG data. And from this, we can see after this, we will bring you the updates on Islamic Economics and Finance, GFIEF, held in Kuala Lumpur from 28 till 29 May. And we can see that GFIEF is under the patronage of the Ministry and organized by Bank Negara Malaysia, with the theme shaping a resilient global Islamic economy through value-based reforms. Perdana Menteri, which Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim will attend the Global Forum on Islamic Economics and Finance that is set to be held at Convention Centre, Kuala Lumpur. And keep tuning with Niaga Awani for more updates, and we will take a short break and we'll be right back.
Love at first sight aku.
Aku terima nikahnya Endah Lia binti Muhammad Ashraf dengan mas kahwin RM300 tunai.
Kebahagiaan yang dirancang. tidak semestinya berkekala.
Tinggalkan Anne atau I will destroy her life.
Mama! Salah besar awak daripada dulu sampai sekarang sebab awak selalu tinggalkan saya dengan mama awak dari neraka tu.
Jangan!
Tolong jangan muncul lagi depan muka saya. Kak Anne viral.
Apa kata kita minta tolong dengan Alan?
Saya Cikgu Anne. Saya ingin membuat permohonan maaf.
Lepas ni semua kenyataan datang dari saya. Saya pegang Cikgu Anne dan saya akan buktikan Cikgu Anne tak bersalah. Siapa Muhammad ni? Kuas benda.
Cinta untuk sekali lagi. Isnin hingga Kamis, 10 malam di Astro dan Astro Go.
Kita berkongsi harapan demi negara. Kepercayaan anda membakar semangat kami. Saat Harimau Melaya menjejak medan pertempuran,
Malaysia mempunyai peluang untuk memenangi perlawanan ini.
kami akan berjuang sepenuh hati untuk menang. Mengejar kegemilangan untuk anda. Saksikan Harimau Melaya mengaum secara langsung di Astro Arena dan Astro Go.
5 lelaki penghantar makanan didakwa di Mahkamah Magistrate Bangi atas tuduhan membunuh seorang pemandu kereta lelaki dalam satu kejadian.
4 sungai di sekitar kawasan perindustrian Pasir Gudang di Johor termasuk Sungai Kim Kim didapati tercemar dan berada pada tahap yang membimbangkan. Kerajaan sudah mulakan inisiatif untuk menggantikan kenderaan operasinya kepada kenderaan elektrik EV dalam skala kecil terlebih dahulu.
Kewangan 2, Menteri Pendidikan Tinggi, Saudara Zamri, Saudara Johan Marekan, KSP dan tetamu-tamu yang saya muliakan, khususnya Gubernur Bank Negara, Saudara Abdul Rashid Ghafur, para menteri yang hadir dari negara-negara rakan, saudara-saudara yang saya muliakan. Alhamdulillah kita panjatkan tinggi-tinggi kesyukuran kepada Allah SWT. Kerana rencana kita untuk mengadakan sidang, mengumpulkan tenaga pemikir dan pelaksana serta pengusaha untuk menjayakan gerakan dan kegiatan ekonomi Islam itu berhasil. Dalam Belanjawan Madani tahun lalu, saya umumkan hasrat Malaysia menjadi pengkalan utama, mengangkat keupayaan kita sebagai landasan untuk mengembangkan kegiatan ekonomi dan keuangan Islam. Berikutnya, Universiti Islam Antarabangsa dan INSIF mengumpulkan sarjana dalam dan luar negara untuk mengemukakan usul, pandangan-pandangan, kritikan dan teguran dan cadangan-cadangan konkret yang kemudian diambil oleh Kementerian Kewangan, Bank Negara, Suruhanjaya Security dan syarikat-syarikat utama kerajaan merenung dan memikir kaedah yang lebih berkesan untuk mengangkat keupayaan memperkenalkan instrumen prakasa baru bagi mengupayakan dan menjayakan ekonomi Islam yang punya potensi yang sangat besar. Ekonomi Islam itu tidak harus terbatas dengan kaedah sistem bank halal yang bertambah sekarang ataupun industri halal. Tetapi seperti mana yang ditegur sekarang, ia harus melihat kepada maqasid syariah itu sendiri. Bahawa kekuatan ekonomi Islam harus mencakup bidang yang luas, tidak dari segi kaedah yang terikat dengan fikih ataupun dikatakan pemikiran hukum semata-mata, tetapi memperluaskannya kepada bidang-bidang dan cabaran baru. Industri dan security makanan, digital dan juga AI. Kerana yang ditekankan seperti yang disebut oleh Gubernur tadi, mendasari semua pertimbangan ini adalah soal nilai. Dan nilai itu membedakan sistem ekonomi yang menunjukkan keprihatinan tentang kemanusiaan, prinsip keadilan dan kesejahteraan. So, excellencies ladies and gentlemen, orthodoxies which prioritize growth and material pursuits over quality of life, while glorifying profit maximization and treating labor as a commodity rather than with compassion or rahmah. One of the most focal contributions of Islamic economics is the consideration of overall human well-being as the end goal, al-adl wa ihsan, where justice forms a pivotal component and the humane approach offers an alternative to the imperfections of unbridled capitalism, perpetuating inequality in wealth and living standards. As we navigate the complexities and uncertainties of these post-normal times, the principles of Islamic economics and finance remain even more relevant to resolve the core conundrums which the world is facing. These include lifting abject poverty, ensuring food security, enabling equal opportunity to comprehensive quality education. This is precisely why we have to embark the holistic Islah, a reform agenda for positive change and a force for good in the global economy. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Islamic finance ecosystem needs to evolve progressively, placing greater emphasis on value-based finance, transcending the profit-driven motives, or to embrace higher purpose where wealth is not just accumulated among the few but circulated to uplift communities, and investment carries a balanced promise of prosperity. In the light of this, it is imperative that we work together economic participation and upward mobility. By promoting micro, small and medium business development, as well as access to finance for underserved and unserved populations, we can reduce disparities and foster shared prosperity. I've alluded to earlier in my introductory remarks in Malay that it's time for us to graduate from the conventional view of what is halal industry or what is riba-free or Sharia-compliant banking and financial instruments, to transcend it to become more in line with the ultimate higher objectives of the Sharia, which would involve the principles of justice, of equity, helping to resolve the problem of abject poverty, inequities, and require greater participation from the masses. Now, through global integration and effective use of Islamic social finance instruments, we can bridge the gap between the haves and have-nots and promote shared societal cohesion. This must be an effective alternative. It's not just introducing instruments introduced under a flawed, unbridled capitalist system, where progress is achieved, development is seen, but inequality persists and worsened. Half the world's 75 most vulnerable countries are becoming poorer compared to the wealthiest economies. This stark finding must compel the international community, especially the international Islamic organizations and development partners, to act swiftly and collectively. We must work together to enhance international cooperation with concerted, holistic, and harmonized economic growth strategies, including removing structural barriers, improving infrastructure, enhancing trade practices, and fostering good governance in reducing economic disparities. Here in Malaysia, in the Madani Economic Framework, we attempt to focus on the civilizational development, and beginning with the issue of governance. One of the flaws I observe is poor governance in our societies, tolerance to corruption and abuse of power, those elites in power, and depriving the masses from what is their rightful place in society. So we have taken measures under the Madani economic framework. And I must thank all the players. Bank Negara is, of course, pivotal in this, Securities Commission, and our GLICs, which must take the lead in promoting this new economic framework based on justice and equity. For example, Tingkatkan, championed by Bank Negara, is a partnership of Islamic financial institutions with micro entrepreneurs, empowering them through blended finance programs, combining seed capital, training grants, and loans funded. Last year, I approved an allocation of additional 10 million ringgit to further scale up Tingkatkan. Today, I wish to reiterate the Malaysian government's commitment towards this innovation through partnership and announce a commitment of 100 million ringgit to seed much more innovations. I'm glad to announce two new blended finance innovations. First, a pilot program on greening halal businesses in collaboration with the Islamic Development Bank, Ministry of Finance, Bank Negara Malaysia, and the World Bank. This aims to assist halal businesses in Malaysia to transition to greener and sustainable practices by providing technical capacity building, tools to measure and report greenhouse gas emissions, and transition financing, including certifications. Now, before I move to the second, I must stress this point. This is a departure from conventional Islamic Economic and Finance Conference. We are dealing with the challenges and the spirit, the zeitgeist of our times. Energy transition, digital transformation, food security. This must be relevant in the discourse of Islamic economics and finance. Now, on the second proposal, we call it Project Hassan, a collaboration between Lembaga Zakat Negeri Kedah, MIFC Leadership Council, Association of Islamic Banking and Financial Institutions Malaysia, IBIM, and in SAFE University to upscale zakat initiatives to elevate the socio-economic conditions of the Asnaf in Kedah. Through this collaboration, 10 million ringgit is targeted not only to strengthen the Asnaf community, but also improve the direct benefits of harvest for the paddy farmers. Now, initially, for those of you who are not familiar to the Malaysian scene, paddy farmers happen to be one of the most, or the poorest in our society. So there must be additional effort to uplift the living standards of the paddy farmers, other than our recent efforts of spending additional 5 billion ringgit to uplift the infrastructure for paddy farmers in Kedah, Perlis, and parts of Penang and North Perak. Beyond this, we must also innovate and leverage on the concept of wakaf. Towards this, firstly, in March 2024, the government approved a 100 million ringgit grant towards the establishment of a Mara Wakaf Endowment Fund, focusing on crowding in private contributions towards furthering education and entrepreneurship. Second, the government has extended tax incentives to cover stock-based Wakaf initiatives, building on the model already implemented under Wakaf Amanah Saham Nasional Berhad. Thirdly, for our 2024 budget, the government set aside 500 million ringgit of loan financing for the development of property development on Wakaf land. And fourthly, the Securities Commission will introduce fundraising for Waqf developments through P2P financing and equity crowdfunding platforms, with the government providing matching funding through MyCIF at 0% financing rate. I welcome more initiatives in this space which will broaden the economic horizon and create diverse opportunities for small and medium businesses as well as underprivileged individuals. Consider what is happening around the world today. The rise of fascism. Europe, in the States, and many parts of the world. The impact of climate change. The revival of great power politics and threat of world war. Transformation, therefore, is not only about addressing gaps, it is also about embracing and adapting the future. We are in the midst of generational evolution in core technology of the financial services sector. Much in the same way, the generative artificial intelligence has fundamentally transformed how vast amounts of data are being used. Now, I'm reminded of my conversations with NVIDIA and recently Microsoft. My standard question would be, what about values? Is it true that AI is value-free? Now, the answer is no. So we have to build this capacity, and it's relevant in the discourse on Islamic economics that we build an upskilling of our professionals, our young experts, to be able to ensure that digitalization and AI is not to impose values determined by the West, but to be decided by our own community and our own society. And this is, of course, a challenge that we'll have to deal with, and the upskilling program must be not only enhanced, but must be accelerated. Now, achieving Sharia compliance in arena of digital assets and smart contracts without more is not enough. We must ensure that these technologies are developed and implemented in such a way as to empower our people, create greater unity and cohesiveness among our countries, and give us greater freedom to rebuild and sustainable and resilient societies. The collaboration between MBSB, a Malaysian Islamic bank, and Facet, a Dubai fintech company, announced at the recent Kuala Lumpur KL20 conference is yet another instance positively indicating that our local institutions are ready to embrace global technology companies with a transformational vision for Malaysia and the world. Risk is a fundamental tenet of the maqasid of this industry. Risk sharing should be a principle that defines not only the products offered to consumers, but also by way in which we direct our creative efforts. In these turbulent times, risk-taking is necessary in order that we can surpass the achievements of the past and truly harness the potential ahead of us. I encourage our institutions to invest, innovate, and integrate, and think big to bring solutions that conventional finance has not yet even seen. We must go where others fear to tread and work across the global technology forum. As saying goes, fortes fortuna adiuvat, fortune favors the strong. In particular, innovation in the halal sector should be a prime focus to enhance the efficiency and transparency across the end-to-end supply chain. As part of the continued and intensified efforts to enhance the investment ecosystem within Malaysia. First, the Retirement Fund, or KWAP, will invest through Dana Pemacu up to 3 billion ringgit in Sharia-compliant investments into supporting high-growth domestic Malaysian companies and also catalyze the venture investment ecosystem. Second, the Securities Commission will establish Malaysia's first social exchange, a structured approach for participation of private capital in projects with positive social outcome. This will benefit entities such as NGOs, social enterprises, and state Islamic religious councils. Third, I'm also pleased to introduce a new dimension to our sukuk issuance under the Government of Malaysia via the Wakalah Bil Khadamat structure. We plan to finalize this sukuk by 2025, as well as we work to complete all required arrangements and preparation. Fourth, we'll continue innovating on sukuk structures, particularly to best meet the needs of climate and energy transition, together with sustainability, building on past innovations such as SRI, Sukuk Ihsan, structures and linkages to Wakaf. Fifth, Laporan International Business and Financial Center, via its Islamic Digital Asset Center initiative, will actively raise and invest funds digitally based on blockchain technology by initiating Islamic asset-backed tokens and also an Islamic digital finance sandbox. And lastly, I wish to commend the Islamic banking industry for their collective pledge of 2.67 billion ringgit in secured financing facilities through the Halal Development Corporation's Halal Integrated Platform to support the development of the halal industry in Malaysia. Thank you. Now, considering that the global size of Islamic trade finance today represents only less than 5% of approximate total trade finance activities by OIC member countries, I call on OIC leaders to up the ante and facilitate cross-border access to beef up innovation, trade and investments. Towards supporting global OIC trade, Malaysia plans to implement G2G facilitation leveraging on Islamic trade finance for a portion of economic cooperation between the OIC countries. This will help turbocharge the growth of Islamic economy. Now, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia remains committed to the net zero carbon emissions target by 2050 and building a resilient and sustainable economy. The initiatives under the National Energy Transition Roadmap and ATR are a testament to our resolve in addressing the climate challenges of our time. Thus, I'm delighted to share that Malaysia will spearhead the development of a global program for Islamic economists in collaboration with implementation partners. This program aims to cultivate a cadre of dynamic and highly skilled economists equipped with the right knowledge and expertise in Islamic economics to ideate solutions that address contemporary global challenges. So the academia and the faculty is not ignored. They have a major task. It is a multi-track program offering executive education, applied research, and working internship for participants to gain professional experience. The challenge not only for the Islamic university, faculties, but all universities in Malaysia. I'm also glad that the Islamic finance industry in Malaysia, through MIFC Leadership Council, it's taking the lead to embracing innovation and impact-driven initiatives. The MLC position paper to be launched today outlines priorities to drive islah of Islamic finance, expanding from the halal to tayyib, to further advance Malaysia's national aspirations and contribute to the betterment of the ummah. The future of Islamic economy is truly one of promise and possibility. But it's also one that requires concerted efforts, steadfast determination, and unwavering resolve. Together, let us rise to the challenge and seize this opportunity with courage and conviction. With that, I wish you a productive discourse and look forward to tangible outcomes of the forum. Dengan lafaz Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, saya dengan ini meluncurkan Global Forum on Islamic Economics and Finance. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Yang Amat Berhormat Prime Minister, for officiating G5 2024. We wish to request Yang Amat Berhormat to remain on stage for the next agenda. Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, we wish to invite to the stage Minister of Finance to Malaysia and distinguished guests. Dipersilakan. ضيوفنا الأجلاء وحضورنا الكرام، بعد لحظات سنشهد معا لحظة إطلاق ورقة موقف المجلس القيادي للمركز المالي الإسلامي الدولي في ماليزيا من قبل رئيس وزراء ماليزيا. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of MLC will now present the position paper to Yang Amat Berhormat Prime Minister. Dipersilakan. Congratulations to MIFC on the official launch of the Leadership Council position paper. Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed with the MOC exchanges. We begin with the exchange of MOC between MLC and Management Executive Committee Nasional Ekonomi dan Kewangan.
In the Arab world, specifically in Oman, we have a lot of waste generated from dates because we're huge consumers of dates. And at the time, the date seeds were used for coffee, as coffee beans, and we thought, can we actually utilize the oil content in the seeds to convert that into biodiesel because it has about 9 to 15% of oil in the seeds, and that's what sparked the idea in the very beginning. And that was back in 2015. For me, it was a personal achievement because I wanted to drive home the point that research can go from the lab to the road. And it's a very strong message to send to our youth, to our students, to our society, that research should be focused on real problems in our countries and in the world. If everybody focused their R&D on a real challenge in our country, then we will be part of driving the economy, finding solutions. So this was going to create jobs for the farmers, because instead of them throwing the seeds in the farming industry, now they're going to actually be part of the solution for the collection. One of the biggest challenges was the mindset. We were not thinking of alternative energies. We were heavily dependent on fossil fuels. The funds at the very beginning was very difficult to be granted because people were just investing in things that were trendy at the time. Now that the topic of renewable energy is a hotspot, we're getting a lot more funds than earlier, which we're very happy with. So it starts with the end consumer understanding the value and importance of renewable energy, specifically biofuels. And from the organizational side or the government side, we need legislations, we need tax exemptions. Just like any other kind of renewable energy, we need some sort of mandates that will help push the scientific efforts in this field.
If you look at any of the major sort of developments, whether it's the wheel or the plough or the printing press or the steam engine or the internet, none of those have resulted in a massive drop-off of employment. So I don't think that AI is going to be the exception. The labour shortage question is key because as demographics show a shrinking working population in developed economies, I think this is going to be a way that we can drive growth notwithstanding that. The amount of thinking time that's going into this is huge. The amount of budget dollars being applied to it are relatively small. Why is that? Well, it's because people understand that generative AI is going to disrupt every company and every industry and every geography. They just don't know quite what it'll mean for them. What they can't see yet is how AI can drive revenue growth generally. And that's why people are holding back in terms of deciding how to apply their investment dollars. What we're finding from our client work is that the winners in AI are the people who have the best data, not the people that have access to the best large language models. I think as people understand how to deploy their data for commercial advantage and then work out what the consequent impact is on energy consumption and how they set it up for success is going to be at the core of those discussions.
Anjali, awak bukan hang sedih je macam jeruk. Hai, bisnes dah lama, pelanggan kurang. Nak buat apa, nak suruh datang. Mungkin TV buat kasih pasang, baru datang.
Jangan, Anjali, jangan. Nanti kena denda.